Precursors of Drugs. Article 12 of the United Nations Convention Against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances of 1988 forms the cornerstone of the international system for controlling drug precursors. The fact that 190 states are parties to the 1988 convention underscores the global community's strong commitment to a system aimed at preventing the diversion of chemical substances, precursors, for the illicit manufacture of drugs. Over the past 8 years, 10 new substances have been added to Table 1, some of which are designer precursors with no known legitimate uses. This underscores the increasingly sophisticated methods employed by illicit entrepreneurs to quickly replace controlled substances with alternative chemical compounds that are not subject to international control, all for the purpose of illicit drug production. The issue of using chemical substances not listed in the schedules for illicit drug manufacturing remains relevant for various countries around the world. To date, a total of 67 countries from all continents have reported seizures of substances not included in the two tables of the 1988 convention, highlighting the global magnitude of this problem. Except for cannabis, no drug or class of drugs is produced without the use of chemical substances not listed in the schedules. Basis of international efforts in precursor control. The foundation of international efforts in precursor control lies in monitoring the international trade of controlled precursors. As of November 1, 2022, the number of governments officially expressing interest in receiving advance notifications for the export of some or all substances listed in Tables 1 and 2 has increased to 117, with Zambia being the latest addition since the previous year. Regarding the illegal circulation of key drug precursors, the volume of recorded seizures of ephedrine and pseudoephedrine, substances used in the illicit production of methamphetamine, continued to decrease. However, unlike the overall decline in ephedrine seizures, the volume of pseudoephedrine seizures in the form of medicinal products increased by more than twofold in 2021 compared to 2020 and by over threefold compared to 2018. This indicates a clear trend towards the renewed illicit use of such products. Moreover, the reported seizure locations suggest a potential spread of illegal methamphetamine production to previously unaffected areas. This scenario underscores the importance of governments in exporting countries taking into account the anticipated annual legitimate needs of importing countries for precursor imports in the amphetamine-type stimulant category. Regarding other relevant precursors of amphetamine-type stimulants. As for other relevant precursors of amphetamine-type stimulants in the reporting year, the global volume of seizures of MAPA, listed in Table 1 of the 1988 Convention in 2020, amounted to only about 1/3 of the seizures in 2020. This confirms the previously observed trend of reducing the volumes of seized substances after their inclusion in international lists and their replacement with alternative chemical compounds not listed. Among the new alternative precursors mentioned in the reports are BMAC methylglycidat for amphetamine and methamphetamine, and POMC ethyl glycidate for MDMA and related substances. The worldwide volume of seizures of the primary precursor for cocaine, potassium permanganate, increased by almost twofold compared to the seizures in 2020, with reports of the largest quantities coming from South American and Chinese sources. 6 out of 16 countries reporting such seizures were European countries, indicating the existence of cocaine laboratories in Europe, intended both for extracting cocaine base from smuggling materials and for converting cocaine base into hydrochloride salt. Among the seized unlisted chemical substances associated with cocaine manufacturing are chemicals used for the illicit production of controlled cocaine precursors, as well as chemicals used to enhance efficiency. Reports of seizures or leaks from internal distribution channels of precursors for other synthetic drugs continued to come in as well. These cases indicate the existence of illegal production of fentanyl, LSD, phencyclidine, and related drugs, as well as ketamine and new psychoactive substances, including substances recently added to drug control agreements. Monitoring the Internet conducted by the Committee Secretariat in the past revealed that from the early 2000s to the early 2010s, a significant factor contributing to the illicit trade of precursors through the Internet appeared to be primarily potential buyers of precursors seeking chemical substances necessary for manufacturing prohibited drugs. At that time, such buyers did not make significant efforts to conceal their identity or activities. Their contact information and even seller information were relatively easy to establish. Despite having information that could identify individuals involved, regulatory and law enforcement agencies often did not utilize this information for subsequent inquiries or investigations, possibly due to a lack of awareness and experience. Since the late 2010s, the situation has changed. Sellers or private traders have become predominant in online postings related to precursors, whereas previously it was primarily buyers. Advertising announcements have also become more sophisticated compared to the relatively transparent methods noted earlier. Recently, sellers are increasingly using chemical abstract service, CAS, registration numbers in their ads alongside chemical names or slang names of controlled precursors and unlisted chemical substances or in place of them. Furthermore, sellers are resorting to anonymization technologies such as virtual private networks and proxy services to hide Internet protocol addresses and locations. Moreover, while initial contacts between potential buyers and precursor sellers, including those dealing with unlisted chemical substances, are still conducted on legitimate online platforms, including corporate platforms and social media, subsequent contacts are often made using encrypted systems that remain beyond the reach of law enforcement agencies. Since 2020, all underground activities related to the sale of chemical precursors have shifted to the darknet, where the primary resource is the Breaking Bad forum. This platform provides conditions for conducting anonymous transactions in the deep web using cryptocurrencies. These measures ensure the safety of both sellers and buyers, effectively eliminating the risks of law enforcement control. The illegal trade of precursors through the Internet, regardless of whether it is driven by buyers or sellers, is always influenced by the regulatory environment at both the international and national levels. Information obtained through Internet monitoring can indicate whether drug traffickers continue to show interest in chemical substances after they have been included in controlled lists. Despite an increase in awareness among competent national authorities regarding the illicit trade of precursors through the Internet, the actual scale of this problem, particularly in terms of the number of suspicious websites and advertisements on e-commerce platforms and social media promoting the sale of chemical substances, including precursors, some of which have no legitimate use, has also significantly increased. However, the number of investigations initiated by regulatory and law enforcement agencies at the behest of competent national authorities worldwide to verify the legality of suspicious reports remains very low. The proliferation of precursors is facilitated by manufacturing instructions for narcotics posted online. On many platforms, including YouTube, as well as the Darknet and the Breaking Bad forum, underground chemist communities are organized, where members exchange experiences and share instructions for synthesizing prohibited narcotics and psychotropic substances. Due to the large number of suspicious messages posted on the Internet, some experts advocate for the removal of such messages from relevant platforms, as well as for providing law enforcement authorities with pertinent information about suspicious sellers and buyers. While the removal of advertisements for the sale of chemical substances, precursors by private companies, deprioritizing or completely removing precursors and unlisted chemical substances from search indices may seemingly yield tangible results, limited practical experience from targeting. Operational activity supported by the INSPE suggests that if the removal of suspicious postings is not backed by subsequent investigations to identify potential buyers or sellers of chemical substances, such an approach may address only the symptoms but not the root cause of the problem. As the internet continues to be used in various ways to facilitate the illegal trade of precursors, governments need to prioritize this issue and develop a comprehensive solution that encompasses a range of measures, starting with voluntary cooperation with relevant internet sectors, monitoring and investigating suspicious messages, and culminating in specific legislative measures to support law enforcement efforts.